Welcome back, you College COD fanatics. This is more last chance qualifiers for our Columbus LAN here in Modern Warfare 2. Jesse, we've been hyping this up to be the beginning of the end of our season, and our round one matchups, they did not disappoint. Davenport, they took Marseille all the way to a game 5. However, that is where they did fall short, and that has brought us into now our second round matchups, where a couple of must-win scenarios have unfolded. We got New Mexico State, must win for them versus JMU, and Davenport versus Queens. It's a must win for Davenport if these two teams want to continue their shot at going to LAN.
Yeah, this could get really exciting, right, between these teams. Like you said, two must-win games now for these teams. Otherwise, the rest of the games of the round robin, they really don't matter that much unless, of course, we're looking at the seeding for the finals. But at the end of it all, though, here, you look at these teams, and you're looking at this James Madison New Mexico State University matchup that you can see we clearly have highlighted will be our next matchup. This matchup between these two teams will end up really kind of deciding this group, because if James Madison walks out and they come away with a victory here, it is what it is. We know who our two teams coming out are. If they don't, we could end up having a three-way tie, for God's sakes, and that could be really, really exciting come the end of this group.
That's the fun part. That is the fun part right now when we look at round robins. But we have seen them before on stream versus Farmingdale State. We haven't seen them, though, as our main focus matchup. Let's look at New Mexico State. Let's look at the Aggies, Jesse, because this is a team who you and I, we have a lot of stock in this team. Definitely one of our, I guess, dark horse teams coming into today for the last chance qualifiers. They didn't pull away with the win versus FSC, but now versus JMU, we got Phenom, Jolteon, Oze, and Electric MC. And a team of 4 where you look at Electric MC, the only senior here, so potentially looking at his last year in College COD.
Yeah, and when we were watching that last series there, we were kind of taking those little look-ins. It looked like Jolteon and Electric MC were really on their game today. And, we kind of expect it, right, from the main AR and one of the main subs here on the roster. A very, very good duo in themselves there between those two. And then, obviously, Phenom and Oze, two very good complementary pieces to this New Mexico State University roster. They look really good. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get the job done. They lose all 3 respawns out to Farmingdale State College, and that's where we're going to be looking at them to really improve coming to the second series.
Well, looking at New Mexico State, like we said, this is a must-win against them. Let's take a look at who they have to win against. It's one of your teams that you're looking at today, Jesse, James Madison University. We got Prey, Kelp, T-Web, Poker, a team that rose throughout MW2, turned heads, and all behind Prey, the senior of this team, or one of the seniors of this team, who has continued to shake up the scene as an SMG role.
Yeah, Prey has been very, very good throughout this season. I mean, a player who we've seen a few times here on stream. It just feels like every time we get to watch Prey, that it is just the player, once they get into their flow state, they are very, very tough to shut down. But, I mean, you look at the rest of the roster, you got Kelp, T-Web, who's been impressive all year long, and then Poker as well, who's been very complimentary to the rest of this roster. This is a well-organized roster, a team that plays very strong together, and a team that's very good at respawn as well. And if New Mexico State is going to continue struggling in respawn, that is where this team needs to look to take full advantage of.
It's going to be a big one. Let's take a look at the head-to-head, Jesse, because both of these two teams are quite similar after the regular season and the postseason. 12-4 season record for New Mexico State, 11-5 for James Madison. Playoffs as well. I mean, you look at New Mexico State, they had one more game to play as they went up against St. Edwards in that losers final match, but they end the playoffs, or they end the bracket last week 3-3, whereas James Madison, theirs ended a little bit earlier and they only finished 3-2.
They did. Yeah, they only end up finishing 3-2 there. But yeah, like you said, you can take a look at their season records. Very similar. 12-4, 11-5. Very respectable either way. You can see James Madison maybe a little bit of a hand up and a little bit of a advantage in terms of hard point. They got a lot more reps, a lot of wins on those maps. But when you look at the search and destroy, New Mexico State University, what we expect them to be their strongest in, 13-4, that is going to be a tough mode to take off them. James Madison, they're going to be looking to take full advantage of all the respawns here today.
Yes, they will, Jesse. We got a best of 5 between both of these two that I'm ready to start the action with. And one that, for New Mexico State, a little bit worried about personally. We get that Hydro hardpoint and the Hotel hardpoint again, both maps that New Mexico State just lost to FSC. And now you go up against James Madison, a team that is heavily favored when it comes down to the slaying, Jesse. And you got to think back to that matchup you played against today, Hydro and the Hotel. Although they were close, two matches that you just fell short on.
To be fair, though, I think New Mexico probably should have won that Hydro. Unfortunately, you just get out-rotated to P2 in the last set of rotations, right? And you know what? Sometimes that happens, right? They out-rotate them there. It's probably a map win for New Mexico. It's not the worst-case scenario, but the one thing I'm happy to see here for New Mexico is that they ban out Expo. I know we want to see it, Colin, but after what we saw there on that look-in, they got slammed 3-0 on Exo by Farmingdale State. They did not want to replay that map again. Thank God they vetoed that one out. So we're going to see a hotel control instead. And in all honesty, with this team, if they can't win out on their hard points here today, it's going to come down to the search and destroys. That swing map mode combo will end up being that control, like we've seen so often. And who knows, in that last series against Farmingdale State, say they win that control instead, we go to a game 5, we go to a search and destroy where they look so good in search and destroy. Could have been a very different series and a different outcome to that entire series. So all eyes going to be on that control come the end of this one here, when you have one really good hard point and one really good search and destroy team.
I mean, you're right to say that. We just watched Marcel take both Search and Destroy. Search and Destroy wins games, wins championships. When it comes down to Call of Duty, we don't need to tell you that. You guys have heard that since the beginning of time when it comes down to competitive COD. But Jesse, New Mexico State, James Madison, tell me how you feel about these two teams, because on one side you got James Madison, a hot up-and-coming team in college COD, who, I mean, honestly, sometimes it seems like Prey can do anything, but the Aggies back to up against the ropes right now. How are you feeling between these two?
I'm feeling good. I think the big thing is going to be how New Mexico State answers Prey. Because if they let Prey get into that state that he can get into where he is just taking over everything on the map in respawn, New Mexico State's going to have a miserable time here in this series outside of the Search and Destroys. So I think that's going to be the main player they need to watch, and they need to make sure they are not letting get into that state that we know they can get into. And that's a great start. He shut him down, 0-1 already for Prey.
Hey, you don't want to get hot early on, so New Mexico State, they double chow Prey. They get some early time in P1, and looking a little bit forward, too. Oze just taking control of Rugs. A couple players might be thinking about pushing towards Chandelier, but the quick respawns from James Madison continue to keep them in contention for this hill. Prey on the flank once more, but Phenom's listening, waiting, and they take him down again. An 0-3 start for Prey, and New Mexico State, you couldn't ask for a better beginning.
One thing that we didn't really touch on that we do need to keep in mind as well, James Madison have not played a match yet today. New Mexico State University, they're going to be coming in hot, right? I mean, yes, they lost their last series, but they're going to come in warm on comms, warm on the gunny, and they're going to be looking good, and that's exactly what we see off the start of this game here. Almost 30-0 start, full rotations won already over to P2. If James Madison doesn't answer back very quickly here, this game could get out of line very quick in terms of the scoreline.
Here we go into the rotation of P2. 52 seconds to break this if you're JMU, but you're continuing to just fall short at the entrance. Phenom's going to get the kill on the T-Web, but in the backline, it's going to be Prey on the flank. Prey looking for a second one. Phenom finds the shots, but not able to snap to poker, so James Madison, they break in with 35 seconds to collect. Kelp now going to be watching this close angle. Kelp looking for a second one. Nice shots on the Phenom. The chase is out, but you get caught by the Semtex, and New Mexico State breaks back in.
Yeah, right back in, and that's going to be the rest of the time pretty much New Mexico State. Oh, I thought it was, but a few players now from JMU, they're going to spot up in the back. They're going to be able to contest this time, and unfortunately, not going to be there will be Kelp on that last little bit of contention. So the last bit of time should go now to New Mexico State, and we're going to see T-Web set up in the back here for James Madison. They don't want to give up on these spawns just yet, and they want to try to be the first team set up in the hill, but it will actually end up being Jolteon as the only player in and around the hill right now for either team.
Kelp's going to be here. Phenom! Oh, out of nowhere! Kelp just gets jumped over. A little bit of leapfrog into the hill. Phenom now in control of the rotations. Going to spot out again a couple of these players from JMU. Phenom is playing out of his mind. The cruise missile is going to be collected. And New Mexico State just continuing to grow this lead. Jesse's still 30 seconds on this hill, and look how far away James Madison are spawning.
And there's two things we need to talk about right now, and it's two players on the side of James Madison who have had extremely slow starts here in this game. Prey 1-10, Poker 1-7. The submachine guns right now here on the side of JMU are getting absolutely thrashed in this matchup at the moment to New Mexico State University.
On rotation again. 111-15. Jesse will hold a 100-point lead for the Aggies. And even still, they don't need to rotate early, unlike Farmingdale State College. Even though James Madison are getting the early rotations from hill to hill, Jesse, they don't have the kills to back it up. Kelp stuck out of the open. Oze snapping on prey. Now 4 in a row for Oze. Maybe a streak for himself. T-Web gonna put an end to that one. Get James Madison back in this hill, but knocking on the front door. The Aggies looking to get back in on this time.
Wow, I don't know where this New Mexico State came from in respawn, but they are absolutely destroying at the moment. If they hold on to the remainder of this time, they'll get right to about 155 seconds, Colin. And we're only 4 hills into the game. They might win this one out in one single rotation if they can continue on the streak of and the run that we're seeing this team go on at the moment here. And look, we go across the map to the next hill, and once again, it's going to be an early setup, early positioning here, an advantage for the New Mexico State University Aggies. We'll get a final one-on-one for this early time between Phenom and between T-Web here on the hill, and it's Oze who comes in for the help, and New Mexico State University again win another rotation. James Madison, you need to show up at some point here in this map.
Yeah, well, 12-8 for Oze. Continue to have a fantastic game alongside Phenom. Oze is going to find yet another kill on the inside. Phenom working over towards Ruggs. Another 6 spree for Phenom. 21-5. Jesse as Kelp's going to get the shutdown. Kelp's going to get a 2-piece. Break into the hill for a moment for James Madison, but even though they are taking so much damage to the exterior that as soon as James Madison get a lick of time, Aggies, they're right back in it.
The scariest part about this is we've seen James Madison over-rotate and get into the new hill and be the first team set up 3 times out of 5 hills so far. And every single time on first opportunity, New Mexico State University has found a way to make the break and get into the hills. 200-19 through 5 hills is a absurd number. We head to 6, and now this is where things can get really scary. If you are James Madison, you cannot give up any time here. You need a full 60 and almost a flawless rotation over to P1 to have any chance of coming back in this game.
You need a full 60 after a full 60, a hope, a prayer, a couple Hail Marys. Anything for James Madison, and then some laser beam shots in your tack if you want to get this one back. But 20 seconds gonna be picked up here into the rotation of P6. Prey laying prone inside the hill. Here comes the pinch. Jose tossing in an aid is gonna move Prey around here. 43 HP. Poker is coming to help this one out. Phenom gonna get the trade again. Prey just needs to stay alive here. You cannot afford to give this up. And yeah, Prey's gonna win it out. Here's the time for James Madison, but now in the rotation, we go back over towards P1, Jesse, and your job is nowhere close to finish if you're James Madison.
Took 6 hills. 6 hills for James Madison to hold on to one, and they finally do. But now we go back to P1. We saw a very dominant P1 the first time we came through to it, and it was New Mexico State that was able to hold on to remainder of the time there. And once again, who's going to be inside of the hill? It will be New Mexico State University, set up, just laying down, holding on to some early time here in this one. But it feels like finally, Colin, Prey is starting to heat up. They were, what, 2-15 at one point here in this. Now 10-20, starting to at least pick things up for their side a little bit.
Pretty sure Prey was like 4-18 2 moments ago, so 11-20 is a big turnaround, starting to come alive now. Inside of our hard point number 1, Electric MC watching for the catwalk pressure, but that's not where the player's going to be funneling in from. Kelp going to be caught through the side door. Another wave of kills for New Mexico State as the rotation's going to be on the race over towards P2. A little bit of pressure from all over the map, but it doesn't matter for Electric MC. Still finding the kills necessary on rotation. Prey trying to do as much as you can to deadlift this team throughout Hotel Hardpoint, but it's not going to work out on this rotation yet again. New Mexico State, the Aggies, they get the kills, they shut them down, and now moments away from a map 1 win.
And now New Mexico State with the spawns in the back, 21 seconds away from being able to close this game out here. Again, you know what, Prey starting to heat it up a little bit here, but you're going to need something remarkable from them if you want to come back in this one. But you do get some early time now for James Madison. They're able to hop in, but still the back spawns go in the favor of New Mexico State. You actually get a spawn out as well. So now a chance for a pinch, and the break is in. New Mexico State can win on this hill.
Yes, they can. Look how far away James Madison are going to be spawning. It's a race to get back into this, but individual gunfights met by all 4 players watching these angles. Oze's going to close the door. 6 seconds left. Phenom 10 spree. Oze 3 spree. Everybody firing up for New Mexico State, and they take map 1 with a near dominant win.
You know what that is, Colin? That is a team fighting for their playoff lives right now, for their chance to go to LAN. And New Mexico State University just showed up with a bang here inside of game number 1. I mean, you couldn't have asked for a better start. What was it? It was like 200 to 20 after the first 5 hills for them. I mean, the fact they allowed 60 points at the end of that one, kind of remarkable. James Madison was even able to get that with how close that game was, or with how far apart, I should say, that game was, because that was not very close at all. 100-point club, and New Mexico State making a statement saying, hey, we can win hard points.
Really goes to show, what could be the chasm between teams in this last chance qualifier, Jesse, because New Mexico State, when we were going into this, you saw the record in the head-to-head, and on pen and paper, James Madison should be neck and neck with New Mexico State, but you go to Hotel Hardpoint, where New Mexico State did not find success versus Farmingdale State. It was a 250 to 214 loss, a 100-point club as they meet up against JMU.
And I would love to sit here and be like, oh, you know what, JMU, they came in cold. It is what it is. I don't even know if I can put it on that, though, Colin. I mean, they just looked outpaced on that map at every single second, because JMU, they would rotate early. It had to have been 3 hills easily in a row that we saw them rotate early to. They had numbers, they lose the rotational fights, and then New Mexico State University would set up and they would just never get broken. We saw it towards Kitchen, we saw it in towards P4, and then we saw it again in towards Restaurant and P5 as well. And New Mexico State, they just never looked back. Every opportunity they had to get a 2-piece, to walk away with some decent time, to really open that gap up further and further against James Madison, they used it to full effect there. And the big thing, Colin, and our X factor that we really brought up to start the series was they needed to shut down Prey and find a way to shut down Prey. They did. A horrific start to the game for Prey that we just don't normally see from a player of their caliber.
Yeah, 5-19 across 6 hills. Prey, I mean, the usual leader with this team for slaying, falls behind and just deeper and deeper into the depths of despair. That was Hotel Hardpoint. You're going to need a turnaround if you are JMU. I mean, towards the end, you started to see a turnaround. You started to see Prey get hot throughout that map number 1, but it just seemed like it was a little bit too little too late. And even though Prey started to play better towards the end, you were still struggling across the board from T-Web, Poker, and Kelp. So if James Madison want to have a shot at going to LAN here for College COD, this is where things, need to level up for your team. So excellent for New Mexico State in that map number 1, a 100-point club for that. But let's take a look in at Davenport as they're against the ropes versus Queens Esports. And, quite a thrashing of their own, Jesse.
Are we seeing the same story here, Colin?
A one-sided affair, Jesse. That's all it is. One-sided affair for Davenport, Queens Esports. Still asleep.
Oh, my God. Davenport. They have families. These teams have families, guys. And unfortunately, Davenport, no disparity at all right now. They do not care that they are coming out. They want to make sure they can at least get to one of those qualification matches, and that is exactly what they are trying to do right now. 185 to 39. You will get a break here from the front very shortly for Queens Esports, but you do have a lot of players still circulating around this hill for Davenport. An opportunity to try to break back in. Narcissist finds a massive kill there to lock down some time here for Queens, and they might just be able to soak up this last 15 seconds here and make this game look a little bit more competitive than it was through this first set of rotations.
And not to mention, I mean, postseason, Davenport has been so good today. Versus St. Clair, you 3-0 the Saints, although in the rematch, St. Clair gets revenge and 3-0s you back. But you play up against the number 5 team in the College COD power rankings. You take them to a game number 5. Davenport, they were ranked 19th, Jesse, in the power rankings. So the fact that the Panthers have been able to level up, the fact that Exip has been able to slide his way in with this team and start to feel a little bit more comfortable, I think this is a team who still has not reached their finishing height.
Absolutely. I could not have said that better myself. But they still got to get the job done here inside of this map. I mean, they're holding on to some decent time over at P1. The rotational fights over towards P2 are definitely working. But let's not forget, this was a map that we actually saw Davenport get beat pretty badly on inside of our last series. This is probably the map that they looked the worst. They got beat 250 to 147 on this map mode combination. And honestly, really turning it up here against Queens. And that worries me for the rest of the series here for Queens as well.
And for Davenport, maybe just a couple of mistakes versus Mars Hill. You're playing a little bit better now in this Embassy hardpoint. What could be if you rematch against them later on down the line throughout this postseason? Narcissus trying to hold on as best as you can for this Hill. Break out from the side door, but now 1v1 versus Gecko. And Narcissus able to walk away with some time here for Queens Esports. But how long can you hold on? You look at the respawn players for Davenport. They're going to drop the streak back over to P2, force Queens Esports back inside. Sue is going to get killed by that cruise missile, and everything focused on the rotation here to P3. Jen cannot die now.
No, need to stay alive. Need to stay alive up top here. If you hold on to this time, I mean, there's a chance you can find a full 60 up top AC, maybe start to fight your way back into this series here. They will find threats up top as well, so that's big as well, just to kind of give yourself some spacing here on this map. But you're giving a lot of scrap time to Davenport right now, and that's what could end up being the problem, because now Davenport calling only 23 seconds away from closing this game out, and Queens Esports, they're still a pretty far shot away at the moment.
Oh, Panthers unaware. Sue gets the God spawn all the way deep into P4, so on the flank, Narcissus now trying to hold on as best as you can. A little bit of support from Jen on the wing, and Narcissus and Jen, the two ARs for Queens Esports, able to deal with those players relatively quickly. Narcissus, job's not done just yet. Still 35 seconds. You know, Davenport might be looking to take another swing at this. A team kill from Sheldon. Jen is able to get the trade. Sue chimes in for a kill onto Gecko. And Queens Esports not yet to give up on P3. Looking for the full 60.
Yeah, this is a really good hold here from Queens Esports. Maybe starting to, heat it up a little bit now inside of this game. And when you look across the map as well, Narcissus is set up here at the new hill. We'll be able to call out that he just seen a player slide in. We'll get the second player here as well. Should have information on this other player. Can't win the gunfight out, though. That's a massive win now for Davenport. This is now their opportunity to close the game out here with a full hold on this Embassy building hill.
He's in a good spot. Narcissus able to trade out Jen. Crucial 1v1 as well for Queens Esports to continue to contend for this hill. However, the kills walk away in favor of Davenport. 6 seconds left for the Panthers to strike first here in the hard point. Well, it was a dominant start. It's a dominant finish. 250 to 167. Davenport Panthers lead the series.
Davenport with a really good map there for themselves. They're 250, 167. Maybe not the dominance that we saw from New Mexico State there inside of their map number one, but nonetheless, getting the job done, doing exactly what they need to do to give themselves the best chance. Because let's not forget, guys, once again, these are now must-win matches because New Mexico State lost their first match to Farmingdale State College. New Mexico State University, or sorry, I should say Davenport lost their first match to Mars Hill. So both these teams in must-win situations now if they want to have any opportunity at playing in one of those play-in matches tomorrow.
Yeah, and I will say, for one thing I will say for Queens Esports is that they were able to start to, piece together a little bit of time, but I will say at the same time, it's Embassy. If you rotate early to P3, I guess, I want to say 7 times out of 10, you will be finding a full 60 on that hill if your ARs are playing the way that Jen and Narcissus were able to do. So now for Queens and James Madison, how are you going to answer back inside of the search and destroy? James Madison starting on the offense. Elasilo, Jesse, we go to a B hit in round number 1, something you don't normally see. Jose should be able to sniff out a little bit of information, and you will. Now a chance for Jose to maybe take the high ground and find a few kills.
They're going to wrap their way through here. But this is a very, very good hit from James Madison. The instant push over towards B, you've got a lot of pressure as well with player number 3, Poker, pushing their way up towards this top rock here. But they need to be aware. Phenom is making a push through the back. Phenom should be able to spot this player out, but hasn't gotten the timing yet.
Phenom's able to get the timing, though, onto Poker. T-Web falls as well, so 2 pillars for the post plan of JMU. Gonna be down and out for the count. Prey's not able to win out on their 1v1. Everything is falling apart. The full collapse. All 4 players win their gunfights. You lose out on 1. And New Mexico State, they retake that. Plenty of time for the defuse.
And Kelp is sitting inside that bomb site right now, just asking, where the heck did my teammates go in that round there? Kelp left all alone to hold onto that bomb site with 3 players, actually make it all 4 players from New Mexico State that were still up, pushing into him. And he finds one, but unfortunately, you're not going to win a 4-on-1. Not like that when everybody's looking at you. And unfortunately, you don't end up winning that one out there. James Madison, once again, going down early here inside of this game. New Mexico State with a very, very good start again. And I'm honestly, just a really good retake on that B site. That's a very hard site to retake, Colin.
And they make it look like child's play. It's their playground right now. That's the defense for James Madison. Ray's going to make their way into A right off the bat. What you expect for the subs, Jose. TAC 56, not the gun you want to take into the battle, but the trade for Electric MC will be able to recover this bomb. Anything more from James Madison, maybe to deny this? Kelp looking for an angle on in. Bomb's not going to get planted. Electric MC under a little bit of heat, but Jolteon comes to the rescue. Poker's going to trade out on the bomb carrier, get out with their life. Now T-Web and Poker working hand in hand to take back their advantage. And with that kill on the Phenom, puts them in a great spot. Jolteon, 1 versus 1.
Yeah, and Jolteon does have information on where this bomb is as well. Should have information on where that final player is, at least a little bit here, but not going to be the case yet. Going to actually creak these doors open. Might just make a sneaky, sneaky play. These players are running circles around each other right now, Colin, and they don't realize it. But Jolteon finds the timing. Will get this bomb down over at B, and it's all going to be about how T-Web chooses to replay this and try to retake this bomb site, because Jolteon's just going to play the backside of the hut.
It's a big round for T-Web. One of the secondary players for JMU right beside Prey. Big Slayer, but Jolteon might be able to get that timing. So slow, so sneaky. A game of cat and mouse, and right now the Aggies, the cat in the situation.
Yeah, very good round again out of them. Jolteon, I thought Jolteon was just going to get that bomb down. Had some idea that T-Web was playing over towards the field side of the map, because that's where T-Web got their final kill. But nope, Jolteon decides, hey, I'm going to just creep my way through these last 2 doors inside of bottom tools, make my way out, get the bomb down over at B. And Colin, how often do we see 2 bomb plants in a row at B on this map to start the game off? I feel like that is just not, it just does not happen very often here at LSCLO.
Must be my birthday. It's not. It's not my birthday, but... Whoa! Poker, it's not his either. A little surprise explosion from Nade. Help on the escape. Whoa, clinging to their life. And Prey maybe trying to distract as best as they can. Dead Silence is going to be popped, so Prey right now just trying to finesse. Prey's going to be able to get away, but that first blood onto Poker leaves so much map control. You look at number 5, Jolteon, starting to find their way over towards the top office. TAC 56 in hand is going to be so deadly. T-Web's going to be able to trade one back. Bomb's going to go down at A. Jolteon's going to jump right down into the lion's den. Kelp and Prey don't allow him to go any farther than that.
Not a lot of follow-up at all there. And now New Mexico State needs to find a way to break into this in a man disadvantage. You would have loved to have maybe seen Jolteon sit and wait for a few of their teammates to come help them, but Jose will find one. But unfortunately, Jose will now need to find all 3 in a bomb defuse and only has 20 seconds left to work with.
Prey just going to be listening for this one. Door's going to be open. The knife. Oh, the knife from Jose. Slice and dice into the 1v1, but James Madison, they play their trades, and a big change up there on their offense. Getting that bomb down at A and being able to trade each other out. Such a big round, especially considering how much damage those players were taking over towards B. Out in the open, you had 3 players watching you, and somehow you're able to escape back over to the A site.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how that works, but you do. You escape, you get the bomb down, and you are able to close the round out there. And you know, that's good for JMU. You got to get something on the board here, right, in this game. It was a rough map 1. It's already a rough start here to map number 2, but you get right back on the board. You can start to fight your way back into this one here. And now if you're New Mexico State, you're working your way back up. You're going to try to get this bomb down over towards A, but unfortunately, with Electric MC going down out in alley, it's going to be tough to get anything down here, but a great push from Phenom around the outside will actually find Poker looking their way through middle of the map.
It's a big kill from Prey to get the bomb down. He's able to slow the pacing of the Aggies for a moment, but Phenom's going to be able to find a second. Now looking for the flank, Phenom. And work their way throughout this one. Door's going to open. You're going to find Prey, the stick in the Semtex, and you finish it with the tax. So T-Web 1 versus 2. Can you hold on? Bomb down. JMU still in a great spot, but T-Web with no information on where they are. Phenom's going to be looking for the A's. T-Web, no idea. The hunt is on. Phenom's not able to finish this one off, so it's not done just yet. 26 seconds, and New Mexico State, they do have to get this bomb planted. And it looks like they're going to. T-Web might be able to get a little bit of timing here. Jesse, dive right through the door. Into the back line. Bomb gets planted. Jolteon's able to escape. Now for the post plants. Jolteon's going to get the eyes on, and New Mexico State, they don't let it go.
Oh, I mean, that was close. That was really, really close to not work it out for New Mexico State. A timing goes T-Web's way there. Just one individual timing. There's a good chance they can walk away with that round there, but unfortunately, it does not happen. Bomb goes down over at B once again. That's 3 of 4 rounds now with the bomb going down over at B, and Jolteon will find the final kill along with that bomb plant as well. But I think that whole round is on the back of Phenom there, Colin. I mean, you find 3 kills in the round. Yeah, you make that big play after your team gets first blood. You find the trade immediately. Team gets a pretty much second blooded, I guess you could say. You go down again in man advantage, and then you make it a 2v2 and also find the third in the round as well. Big round there out of Phenom just to kind of keep New Mexico State University in the round, and at the end of it all, able to close it out for themselves as well.
Lecture MC on the flank. Dead silence popped. T-Web has no idea, and the door is open. You leave the door open, the monsters are going to walk through. Jolteon starting to work this flank alongside him. Bomb working its way over towards A. Things starting to come alive for New Mexico State, looking for their 4th round in the search. Kelp and Prey just holding that corner. You need your player up top to stay alive on the 2nd floor. Jolteon. It's going to be crucial.
Oh, and are they going to realize that they do? Poker sniffs out Jolteon, making that push up from the bottom side, but they weren't ready for the second player. Electric MC from the front, and here comes the rest of the break. It's just Kelp left alive.
It's just Kelp, 1 versus 2. Electric MC could dive his way in. And New Mexico State doing a great job at utilizing their numbers, Jesse. You have the advantage in the round. You play your trades. You play it perfectly.
And this is what was so scary about the way we saw that map number 1 go, Colin, because we saw James Madison. We figured, hey, the better respawn team coming into this one, and you looked at New Mexico State as the clear-cut better search and destroy team. They've only lost 4 search and destroys all year long. If you're New Mexico State, you're feeling very confident about your map picks when you come into this game mode at the very least. And once again, looking very strong here in Search and Destroy. Up 4-1 now in the map, and immediately it looks like we're going to get another bomb making its way over towards B as everybody kind of stacks up inside of Alley. Good thing nobody double-nated that.
JMU. Poker. Gotta be careful. Poker's going to get backed up, so no aggression towards the flank. Excellent from Phenom to be able to deny that, but Electric MC hasn't popped their dead silence audio cue and the visual cue, so Electric MC is going to be spotted out. Prey still hasn't moved from this angle. Kelp's going to be the one to open up with the first blood. Prey still waiting. Electric MC has no idea. Bomb is down. Advantage to JMU.
And now you need to try to answer back here. If you're JMU, you need to win this round. This cannot be a round loss here at this point. Down 4-1. But up 3-2 in lives here. Jolteon's going to be able to get that bomb, though, and get out with their life. They can definitely work a plant and a wrap back over towards A now. If they can get this bomb down with Phenom in this fantastic spot to cut the players off from JMU as they rotate, you could be in a really, really tough spot here if you're James Madison. This bomb cannot go down.
Can't. Oh, T-Web. Whoa, spots a melt. Bomb doesn't go down, Jesse. 9 seconds left. Phenom now sent in a panic. And James Madison looking for their 2nd round on the board. They get it done. Play a little bit of hide and seek in the meantime. So, big round there to stay alive in this. Deny New Mexico State of that 5th round. And really off the back of what we saw out of Prey, just sitting, waiting in the corner and playing off of Kelp's contact.
And you can't underestimate how big that kill was. That last final kill that we see come through with that pistol on the bomb planter inside of A. If that bomb goes down, that round could have been very different because of the positioning that we had from Phenom in the round. He would have been able to cut off all those players wrapping from B back over to A. But that one kill to stop the bomb from going down pretty much changes the entire round. This time, though, in the favor of James Madison and Kelp, looking to get very aggressive off the start of this offense. Going to immediately work their way through field, find that first blood on Electric MC.
Jolteon looking to pick up where the teammate left off, see if you can throw a wrench in this plan, but now Kelp and Prey just trying to fish for a little bit of opportunity, fish for some information, which doesn't present itself. What does is kill for Poker onto Oze. A trade from Jolteon, but is it going to be enough?
And unfortunately, T-Web goes down now as well, and it's just Kelp left alive. They do get the bomb down, but 1 versus 2, this is not going to be an easy hold.
I mean, in the blink of an eye, you blink, you miss it. 1 versus 3. Kelp's going to make it a 1v1. Now trying to win this one out. Jolteon versus Kelp. Such a big round to win out, and Kelp hasn't moved at all. Bomb's not going to be planted. Kelp jumps right in. Jolteon's going to be waiting. Plays patiently, and the patience pays off.
Jolteon pretty much just sits back and waits, says, hey, you know what? He has not checked this bomb in a hot second. He'll have to check it at some point. Jolteon just plays bottom kegs, waits for them to get a little bit too aggressive there, but he needs to check the bomb, Colin. Plain and simple, had no information on that at all in that 1v2, and unfortunately did not plant the bomb in a spot where they'd be able to watch it from their top side, because if he did, I mean, probably could have won that round out themselves.
Yeah, I mean, down 2-4, you know that New Mexico State wins that. They're on map point. You can only imagine the panic that's going through the comms for JMU. So Kelp, red alert, checks that bomb. Jolteon says, all right, I got time. About 30 seconds of time to wait for. So now the Aggies looking to go up 2-0 in the series. And really bury James Madison here. And now on El Asilo, T-Web's going to be on the flank. Vaznev and Dead Silence slowly opens up the door. I'm not sure if the audio cue was there. It doesn't seem like it, but Jolteon's going to be watching this one, and T-Web gets shut down.
And bomb goes down now as well. You got to imagine that this is James Madison search and destroy over here. 2v4, bomb down. You need to retake. Prey is heavily tagged up. This is going to be such a tough spot to take this round. And, I mean, at least Prey finds one.
Yeah, and Poker, a lot of damage there onto Jolteon, but no kills. So Prey, to no avail, gets that first kill. Jolteon still continuing to push the issue here for New Mexico State. Poker 1v2, 14 seconds left. And the Aggies, they're comfortable as ever in the search. They go up 2-0.
6-2 search and destroy win for New Mexico State University. They look polished in search and destroy, and I mean, they even look polished in terms of hard point right now, at least the way we saw them look at the start in that map number 1. New Mexico State University just looked to be a step ahead of James Madison right now through maps 1 and 2, Colin.
And man, I will say Phenom has been playing great for this team. Phenom in map number 1 on the AR role, constantly shutting down Prey in so many ways. It continues in the search and destroy. So many individual players stepping up to New Mexico State, but I am impressed on the way that they were shutting down Prey. I think that was the one issue going into today that I was worried about for James Madison. Will Prey just be able to do anything he wants on the map? The answer right away, Jesse, is no. And James Madison, this is what I was talking about. The dark horse of this team was the supporting cast for James Madison, and we just have not seen them yet against the Aggies. You need to start seeing some help and some support throughout that. Map number 1, it was missing plain and simple on that hotel hardpoint. Map number 2, a couple of moments where Kelp goes big, but apart from that, pretty straightforward for New Mexico State.
I mean, we've kind of been saying it throughout this whole series so far here, and it was really in our build-up, but Prey can't do it on their own, right? And when Prey's also not performing at the best that we've seen Prey performing at throughout this season, that's when things get really, really tough, right? And unfortunately, just a lot of gunfights lost around the search and destroy bomb sites that it just makes it so easy when you need to push your way in. And again, look, Prey gets one there. Unfortunately, no trades come through, and your team just ends up all falling apart around it. I mean, you would love to see this JMU roster maybe kind of pulling it out a little bit better here. This was probably the one round where we really saw them shine inside of the game. But outside of that, though, a 6-2 loss after getting 100-point clubbed in map number 1. I said it once, I'll say it again. It just feels like New Mexico State at the moment, Colin, are just a step ahead of this JMU roster.
You know, it's not always cut and dry on where the problems rise for teams, but right now, it's pretty clear what you have to do if you want to reverse sweep against the New Mexico State Aggies. You need to step it up when it comes down to the slang, when it comes down to the pressure, the teamwork, whole all-around effort for this whole squad. You're right to say they're a step behind, and right now they're two steps behind in this best of 5 now. Down 0-2, going into the control, what usually is a swing map mode combo. This needs to be the start of something new. A new leaf turn for James Madison going into this hotel control up next, Jesse. But it's not going to be easy at all as we take a look over at those statistics. You can see that New Mexico State just so comfortable in this matchup right now after what was a heartbreaking loss, I'd say, to the Respawn games against FSC.
Absolutely. And again, if you're just joining us right now, we are playing a round robin format at the moment. So every game right now does matter in terms of making it out of your group. Only 3 teams per group. You need to win every opportunity you have. At New Mexico State, they're actually fighting for their lives right now. They lost their first matchup to Farmingdale State. Now coming back, though, up 2-0 here against JMU, giving themselves their best opportunity, their best chance to make it out of the groups. So New Mexico State, they've answered back big. Davenport, they won their map number 1 as well. I'm not sure how that map number 2 went. I'm sure we'll get an update on that and be able to update you guys on that once we come back from our break as well. But I mean, these teams, their backs fully pushed up against the wall and they've come back swinging. Yeah,
New Mexico State Aggies up 2-0, looking to put this one away with a 3-0 sweep against James Madison University. We're going to a break. We'll be back with some more action shortly.
They really do. They really do look like a different beast at the moment. And we can take a look at our map set here. It was a hotel hardpoint to start us off and a very hot start. They were up, what, like 200 to 18 through 5 hills of that hotel hardpoint. They do allow JMU to come back in that game a little bit, but still close it out with a 100-point club and then that 6-2 on El Asilo. A lot of the same, honestly. Just kind of control the pace, control every little aspect of the game that they can, and JMU just really never had an answer. And I feel so bad for JMU because they're about to have to go back in a hotel right now where they just got absolutely thrashed in map number 1. And now I mean, I don't want to say your life is on the line if you're JMU at the moment, but New Mexico State lost already to Farmingdale State. Kind of got beat by Farmingdale State pretty decently through a lot of the respawns. If you're losing now respawns to Mexico State, I mean, that just doesn't bode well, in my opinion. So I feel like if you're JMU, this kind of feels like this needs to be a must-win map here and a must-win kind of series at this point.
Yeah, for James Madison, I mean, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly. The good is that versus Farmingdale State, this was New Mexico State's worst map mode combo or mode in that best of 5 series. The bad part is that you're down 2-0, and I guess the ugly part is that hotel hardpoint that we saw in map number 1. So trying to bunker down and see if you can walk away and prolong this series to a map number 4. But on the offense right now are the Aggies, and just putting pressure after pressure onto this B zone to see if that they can find an opening here past James Madison, but they haven't found anything just yet. Prey and Poker, both with the techs, laying down the law.
Yeah, good start here for James Madison. They at least, slow things down a little bit. But now the rest of the players from New Mexico State University, they're going to start to work their way over towards A. But a big 2-piece here from T-Web. It's going to completely slow that down, and they can hop right over and onto this A point themselves and continue just to try to shut these players down. And T-Web actually finds 5 in a row before going down finally.
Right on the hunt over towards A. Vaznev not going to find anything. Jose now just shut those doors, continue to hold control of the time bank, and see if they can start to gain some progression here towards this A zone. T-Web's going to look in on this one, though. Find an opening kill. Electric MC, a lot of pressure right now. Has to go big to see if he can control this A zone. Electric MC gets all 3 kills. Looking for the 4th one, decides he doesn't even want to look in on it.
Gonna actually get some help from his teammate, maybe a little bit of bait and switch there. Unfortunately, can't find the 6th in a row to find the full streaks. And Prey finds not only that kill, but pushes forward, finds another one now in bottom bedroom, and can start to work their way forward, maybe a little bit too far as they push into bottom parking, and unfortunately gets shut down. Now it's really going to be up to T-Web here to kind of get back control of top bedroom to make sure they just don't allow any of these JMU players to get into a comfortable spot.
Yeah, T-Web and Poker just trying to be annoying. Poker eventually going to fall, but delays at least a little while to allow for the respawning players to maybe find a position into this zone, but it's all going to be down to Prey now, walking through the middle of the map, going to take out the player on the zone, and Prey is actually going to snap over to Jolteon as well, so all that pressure to nothing right now. So New Mexico State, you lose that on Oze, 10 playing 10. B-zone, not even a ticket progression. 40 seconds left.
And it's 9-9 lives as well, so life's very, very even. You finally get a couple kills here, though, if you're New Mexico State, but the hard part is going to be finding a way to break into this B point. Once you get in, that's the easy job, but breaking this is very tough, and they still have yet to clear top bedroom, as you still have Prey sitting up top there pretty.
Yeah, Prey's just sitting, waiting. Jose, last player in a position to hop onto the zone. 13 seconds. Gonna have to draw a couple of this attention back. Jose's even gonna find a kill, but is it gonna be enough? Prey still alive up top bedroom. 7 seconds left. Not a lot of lives for New Mexico State to make this one happen. So even though you lose out on A, James Madison, you take round 1.
Prey and T-Web, the two best players from James Madison, hands down, both finally coming alive a little bit here inside of this map, Colin. A good round from both these players. We saw T-Web earlier in the round really turning it up. I think it was a 5 spray to start the round, actually, for them as well. And outside of that, I mean, yeah, you had Electric MC pop and go a little bit hot through the middle of that round, but outside, I mean, it was all James Madison in that round number 1, and that helps a little bit, right? You can start to build some momentum off of that. Prey is also on 5 in a row here, so one more could find that cruise missile. Not super effective on this map, but still could end up being a difference maker in certain points of the game.
Yeah, Prey's been a little bit ahead of himself today, but you know, even still, this is the Prey that we like to see for James Madison to find success. A little bit of bait and switch onto Electric MC. Kelp now looking to surround Oze over towards this A zone. 2 quick kills for James Madison, and this could be the A zone gone. 3 players stacking it.
Looking like a very different James Madison right now. A little bit more confident right now from what we're seeing here inside of this control, and it's working really well. The full 3 ticks of progress will come through over at B, but again, this comes the hard part, right? Now you got to start to work your way over towards that B zone, and getting into B is very, very tough in itself, especially when you've got players set up top bedroom, and it's going to be Phenom who's kind of patrolling that area along with Walkway, and just really shutting these players down. JMU needs to find a way to break.
Yeah, and it makes it even harder when you don't find any success in the gunfights exiting the A zone. So although you have 2 minutes and 10 seconds, I mean, we just saw how quickly that can disappear. Jolteon, a little bit of damage done, but you still look at Phenom just waiting for a chance to strike onto these players, sitting back towards P6, but Poker's going to win out in that gunfight. 4 go down for New Mexico State. James Madison, this is their chance to take control. Tick number 1's going to be secured. Second one getting worked on Prey. D2 watching for the respawning players. Kelp here to help out. The front line pressure is laid down. That 3rd segment's going fast, and it is done. James Madison, Electric round number 2, up 2-0 in the control.
James Madison is alive here in this series. It's not something that I think we were fully expecting here inside of this one. And you know what, we did see New Mexico State get really badly beat on Expo control against Farmingdale State College. So maybe it's just a control thing. Maybe they're just not that great at control. But I mean, either way, if you're James Madison, you are taking this every single day of the week here, Colin. I mean, you fought your way back in. You're only down 2-0 in the series, right? So there's still an opportunity to bring your way back to this game. This is a great map that you can start to build some confidence off here. Up 2-0 now, looking to get some more pressure on over towards A. And yeah, I mean, they've already gotten a good wipe here off the start of this round as well, completely slowing down any push New Mexico State has started with.
Where does this confidence stop so far? Hasn't been able to find it. Phenom, a little bit of heroics there to piece together too, but even still, JMU, they pump the brakes for a second. They back up, recollect themselves, and look to go back in on this A zone together. 3 players in for the Aggies. Flank's going to be shut down. Prey not able to look in on this one. T-Web's going to fall as well, so not a lot of help here for JMU to get back in on this one. Oze just snaking his way through this A zone, losing out on teammates and losing out on his life. So Phenom, the only one here right now, really to back off James Madison, and it's not going to happen at all. This A zone going to stop at 1 tick and a half.
Yeah, 1.5 ticks, and JMU's flying forward now as well. They can start to try to pin these New Mexico State players back in their spawn, pick them up off of spawn as well, but they need to recognize the spawns. Because now New Mexico State, they're going to start to work their way over towards B. You got 2 players on it. You've only got 1 player in behind. It is Kelp. And Kelp finds both players on the point. Will find the player sitting inside of couches as well. Has not finished off the final kill here yet. But he's got T-Web's help, and they will get that one done. 27 seconds left here inside of the map for New Mexico to stay alive in the map right now, as it looks like JMU has started to find their rhythm.
And I started seeing a little bit back in map number 2. Kelp, a lot more composed, a lot more put together right now inside of the control. And slowly but surely finding their rhythm here in this best of 5. Aggies will find the break towards A. Third tick should get secured eventually. We will have another chance at this one for New Mexico State, but look at the life count, Jesse.
JMU needs to be careful. They've got all 4 players up towards the top side of the map right now, so that's going to open up a spawn for New Mexico State to work their way towards the bottom side. Only 8 lives left, but you definitely have an opportunity here still if you're New Mexico and you want to try to break onto this B point, but you got to win out of these gunfights middle map.
Yeah.
They do. You have an opening now. It's going to be all about just getting 1 break and holding after that point.
Phenom's going to be a big piece of the puzzle right now. Staying alive, Electric MC gonna link together. Struggling to secure some pressure towards top bedroom, and Electric MC goes down to the flank, so Phenom has to get involved, and it's not gonna work out. James Madison, a fail in map 1. They fall flat in map number 2. Map number 3, Jesse, they collect themselves. They find the necessary pieces to put things together for their team. And they 3-0 sweep the hotel control.
They look like a completely different team. I mean, whatever they said to each other during that little 5-minute break that we took there, that little intermission, Colin, I need that pep talk when I'm playing ranked and I'm down 250 to like 20. Because, I mean, this looks like a different team completely coming out of the break. A fantastic answer from James Madison. Again, you know what, New Mexico State, we've seen them get beat a few times in control so far. But I mean, you can't put past the fact that James Madison was getting thrashed through maps 1 and 2. It was not close.
Yeah.
And they have just come out looking completely different here inside map number 3. And you know what, this could be a good start for themselves to now build some momentum and work towards the back half of this series.
Well, I will say, you know, a big part of that map number 3 comes down to one thing you said, confidence. One thing that I saw, patience. You know, Kelp and T-Web always holding down their lanes. Kelp getting involved in areas that Prey wasn't in the past. And this is the one thing that we highlighted both. If JMU wanted to kind of step up today and find themselves in contention for a LAN spot, you need to start seeing the supporting cast step up and help out Prey. And in this map, we got that. Both Kelp and T-Web played pivotal roles in that control to make sure that they sweep Aggies in this hotel control map and continue with this series. T-Web with the AR, I think is a big missing piece that JMU hasn't had throughout those first 2 maps. And in this moment, JMU, I mean, this could be the fire lit underneath them that really turns things around for a potential reverse sweep.
Absolutely. And I think the thing I was most impressed about was Prey. Prey looked much, much better here in these maps than what we saw inside of those initial. And you can see here 10-7 towards the end of the final round of control, or sorry, towards the end of the second round of controller. I think they even had a really good last round there as well, because they do a great job of just kind of patrolling the top bedroom area more often than not. And like you kind of called out, Kelp did a great job of filling in a lot of the lanes that we didn't see get filled in by Prey when they were coming off spawn. It just constantly had Kelp up in your face. Everybody, honestly, the whole supporting cast on the side of JMU played much, much better in that map, like you said, Colin.
This is the scary part, though, Jesse. Hydro Hardpoint up next. And James Madison, I mean, you have to think back to that Hotel Hardpoint. Even though you just had a big turnaround in that map number 3, you have to think about that Hotel Hardpoint. And not only that, the fact that New Mexico State, realistically, we didn't watch the game, but they should have won that Hydro Hardpoint versus Farmingdale State. They get out-rotated, but they out-slayed. And I think if that's going to continue going into this map number 4, James Madison will struggle. So you have to see a repeat out of these players, especially from T-Web and Kelp. If they want to send this to a map number 5, they have to continue with this pacing.
And especially from what we saw in map number 1, Colin, was just a absolute outslaying from New Mexico State University, right? And that's going to be the biggest thing, I think, for James Madison. If they want to come back in the series and they want to be able to make it out with a victory inside of that last round, or inside of this next hard point, it needs to start on the kills, and they need to make sure they're answering and going point to point against New Mexico State University. And we're going to get to see some highlights here, Colin. It's the game 3, the control for Davenport and Queens. These are the highlights from it. I believe Davenport was up 2-0 going into this one.
At Davenport up 2-0 versus Queens after the search and destroy. We got to see that during our break before the controls, Jesse. But Queens Esports, we knew this was going to be a tough group for them in the round robin, with both Mars Hill and like a fresh-faced Davenport team going into the postseason. And Queens Esports, a team, who has struggled in previous seasons in College COD. I questioned if they had, what it took to really take this team the distance. And we get to see them against Davenport, and it just doesn't seem like it was there. We get to see these finishing moments, and 11 lives to 2 at the end here for Davenport. I think that, Queens, this is kind of what I expected personally going into today.
I will say one thing for Queens. Even if Queens comes out here today, and yes, they clearly just lost 3-0 to Davenport, and it is what it is. A massive step forward for Queens' program this year, though, in itself, right? And I mean, we knew it was going to be tough today. We can take a look at the final maps and modes here for Davenport: 250, 167 on that map 1 Embassy, map 2 LSELO 6-3, and then the 3-0 on Hotel Control. But a massive step forward for the Queens Esports program here. I mean, this team, not the greatest team last year, came forward this year. They've taken some massive steps forward. I mean, just to make it to the LCQ is impressive in itself for this Queens roster, from where they were a year ago today to where they are now. And gotta give them their flowers where they're due. They're not out yet either. They do have another match to go up against, and they will be going up against a very tough opponent in Mars Hill. Do I expect them to win that one? Honestly, I think it's going to be tough. But at the end of the day, though, again, Queens Esports, they've taken some big steps from last year to this year.
They have. This is a team whose name has been heard a lot more in MW2 than in the past, Jesse, especially, across even College Warzone. Queens Esports had a great placing, and these players played on that team. So, hats off to Queens Esports. I mean, I guess technically it shouldn't be done if they're going to be playing against Mars Hill, but that is going to be an even harder game to play up against. But let's take a look back at our main focus here. The Aggies versus James Madison University. Hydro Hardpoint up next, Jesse. And I said briefly before going into the breakdown for that Davenport Queens game that this is where things get hard again for James Madison, because you look back at that map number 1, 250 to 82. James Madison, they were not present for that Hotel Hardpoint. Prey had a bad game, and so did the rest of the team. But after that Hotel Control, is it enough to come back for this Hydro Hardpoint, do you think?
You certainly got to hope, right? You got to hope that there is a spark now lit underneath the James Madison University players, and that they have an opportunity to come back in this. I feel like a map like this could be a map where Prey could be really annoying on as well. You hit some water routes, you get up in behind a lot of the New Mexico State University players, and you're shooting them in the back constantly, being annoying. And we've seen New Mexico State lose this map once here today already. Yes, you know, we think that they probably should have won that map from what we saw earlier. We obviously didn't get the full picture, but they got out-rotated to P2 in the final set of rotations, and they were not able to find that break. So we've kind of got two stories running into this one. One, New Mexico State trying to right their wrongs from earlier, and James Madison's fighting for their lives right now, because you do not want to go into that series against Farmingdale State needing to win it to have any chance of coming back.
For James Madison fans, it's not a want, it's a need. It might be a want and a need, however. So James Madison, and they get it done. Cheeky little angle right there. I don't know if you could see through that one if it's a visual glitch, but I've never seen that before at all. James Madison, the opening gunfight's quite similar to the Hotel Hardpoint, not going their way, but you look at T-Web making the rotation through the water all the way deep towards P2 to see if you can break.
Yeah, big fight off screen right now. Player 1 versus player 7. It is not going to go the way of James Madison. It's going to go to the way of Phenom, holding those spawns up in the back. And this is a great start for New Mexico State. You get a decent amount of time here on P1. And look how far out James Madison is spawning before P2 swaps.
We'll be able to get back in for a little bit of time at P1, but yeah, long way to go just to look in on the second hill.
Oh my god, player 1 spawns in the back.
Yeah, a little bit of a flank here from T-Web. You get the God spawn, and will it be red? Looks like a couple of players are going to be watching for this one, but Kelp is going to make sure that T-Web goes unnoticed so far, so T-Web's just playing their cards. You have to go soon. Kelp leading the charge here for T-Web, trying to see if they can get in. Prey from all angles, collapsing into the hill, and look at that bloodbath, all red in the feed, including a team kill.
Oh, and they find the trades as well to get the spawns up before James Madison can spawn up. So New Mexico State, after all that, you know, it probably should have been a good full 60 there for New Mexico, but unfortunately a spawn comes up in the back, kind of disrupts your plans a little bit there, but at the end of it all, should still be a decent amount of time here. Should be about a 60-point lead at the end of 2 hills here as we look to set up and rotate over towards P3, and it's going to be James Madison. They'll be the first team early set up here. Electric MC will win a big gunfight. Now going to start to try to fight their way through the back line, through the water, and maybe try to pull some spawns here in the back. Poker will win it out, and this should be early stabilize these spawns now for JMU.
And one thing is certain from that map win hardpoint is that James Madison, even though they were down, they never felt like they were out. You always saw them trying to look forward, early rotate, try to see if they can get this initial time, but they never were winning their gunfights. So this time around, they win a little bit. They get some time here. Prey's just going to look to see if you can be a little annoying up top, and you will. Prey and Kelp going to shut down the 2 players, collect a little bit more of this time, 25 seconds, spawns in the back for the Aggies. So if you're not careful, if you're New Mexico State, this could turn around and blow up in your face. You don't want to force these spawns all the way over towards P4, and you see that player number 8, Oze, he's already on guard for the rotation.
Yeah, you can see exactly player 8 and player 5 Electric MC joining them over towards New. James Madison does get a good chunk of time there on that old hill here, and if they can find a break, could absolutely flip this lead back into their favor here. Unfortunately, Poker from the top won't be able to find that initial kill onto Electric MC, and the rest of the kills now all going red in the kill feed. New Mexico State University doing a great job holding through this initial time, but Kelp with an opportunity to break through the back.
A little bit of an opportunity here for Kelp. Gets 3 to break in. James Madison, chance now to turn things around. 30 seconds is going to bring you close to a tie game. Poker up top, but shut down immediately. Big kills right now for Kelp to continue to stay alive. 5 in a row. Can't get number 6, so no cruise missile for Kelp. A little bit of time for James Madison, but not the outcome that you would have wanted.
No, not at all. But it's unfortunate, but at the end of the day, though, James Madison, you know, you put up a little bit of a fight there. You're going to be able to grab some of the scrap time. It's still about a 40-point game, and you'll absolutely take that, considering how far apart you were inside of that map number 1. You will take being able to be within a earshot of being able to take the lead in this map number 2. But off the start of Hill 5, it's a good control for New Mexico State. Phenom will fall at the front of the hill, but still, now everybody on JMU going to have to flood through the front.
Phenom's back into form, 15-6. Electric MC was the dynamic duo back in map 1 this time. Can't hold things down inside P5. The break from James Madison overwhelming. Are the subs in for 30 seconds here, Jesse?
JMU play much better on this map than what we saw in that map number 1. They are definitely bringing the fight back to New Mexico State University here inside of this one. 20 seconds left on the hill. They could bring this right to about a 7-point game if they hold on to the remainder of this time. You do get spawns in the back for New Mexico State. So it would be very hard to hold on to the rest of this time here. Prey couldn't find both in the hill, and actually both teams going to continue just to kind of spawn up in the back. That's big for New Mexico State because now they hold on to the right side of the map spawns for heading into our second set of rotations.
There's a chance there for James Madison to have the better side for the second set, but this time around, it's going to be the same situation as our first set. Prey in the water. Jose is going to spot that one out. Nice kills here for New Mexico State to get in on this hill. And 4 clean kills out of the Aggies. They hop into P1. They grow their lead once more. James Madison off that P5. They were able to cut things down to size. But Jesse, they're back into that same situation that we saw inside of the first set. Spawning so far away from the action.
This is a setup and a half right now, but unfortunately you do end up losing out on your player in the far back of the spawn if you're New Mexico State. And now T-Web with the rest of the James Madison players, they're going to make a break through the back here. We've seen something similar to this happen at the end of the Farmingdale State map against New Mexico State, where they got broken on this P2 hill and they were not able to break it. And James Madison, they've got a pretty good idea of that. They're pushing for the new hill. They find the break, and that is fantastic work from James Madison, who was completely pinned on the opposite side of the map earlier in this hill.
Yeah, flawless transition, but look at Electric MC. Prey, ooh, shaky shots, not going to be able to finish their food. Electric MC still a chance to really blow things up here. Undetected. T-Web looks the wrong way. Electric MC is going to get into the hill. Kelp all alone. Electric MC doing it all for the break. And the spawn out for James Madison. You couldn't ask for a worse situation.
You simply cannot allow Electric MC to stay alive there in that situation. Whoever's in the hill just needs to fly out and clean that player up. Otherwise, you allow an opportunity like that to happen. And New Mexico State University, give them a foot, they are going to take everything, and that is exactly what happens there. Now with an opportunity to get up to that 200-point mark, take around a 100-point lead over James Madison University. This needs to be where JMU comes back with a big answer. We saw them hold this hill decently well in the first set. I mean, what was it, around 40 seconds they were able to hold on to. So they need to look at that, and they need to find a way to replicate that here once again now in our second set of rotations.
Yeah, James Madison in a good spot. All pressure from the front. Hump is a little bit all over the place right now, and Jose is going to take advantage of that. Now New Mexico State with life advantage, looking to overwhelm and see if they can stronghold their way back into this, and it looks like they will. Jolteon's going to get the kill into Kelp inside. Prey's going to get shut down and hunted. Poker in the back, the spawns for James Madison. They can get back into this, but for 30 seconds, you need to overextend to P4. Kelp's going to be making that job happen. You need to do everything right now if you're James Madison, but nothing is working in your favor. 3 down again. It's all down to Kelp and the interaction that Electric MC is about to find.
Yeah, Kelp won a lot of fights in the back line here in the first set of rotations. Not the case this time. Electric MC with a massive win. Going to instantly push back into Ruins to try to hold off the rest of these James Madison players who are going to be fighting this one from the front. Back spawns are in. New Mexico State is looking good. We'll get a full setup here, and they can win the game on this hill. James Madison needs to find a break, Colin.
Oh, Phenom. Tank down to 53. Still alive, though. Electric MC on the flank. James Madison surrounded right now. Prey's going to find another kill, but pinstripe kill feed from both sides. James Madison barely holding on, clinching to life right now in the series. 132 to 222. You can win things here if you're New Mexico. So, Kelp, you cannot give this up just yet. T-Web's going to lick in on it. Find the kill onto Jose. Deny the Aggies of time for now, but it's not done just yet. T-Web still needs to go big. A couple kills for James Madison, but the answer back from New Mexico, you can't win here, Jesse. We will see another hill.
We will see one more. And when you look across the hill, it's going to be, once again, New Mexico State, the first team over towards the new hill to set up. And they're actually going to be able to hold the scrap time along with the rotations here over towards new. They need to recognize James Madison's going to start to make this push through the back. They recognize it, but they don't win the gunfights. JMU gets the back spawns, but they need to be perfect from this point on.
You need a break. You need it now. Poker finds Schulte on Electric MC. Is going to drop a kill from Jose by way of nade. Here comes Phenom. Through the side door, 10 seconds is all you need, but Phenom gets shut down. It's Jose to piece together two. Into the hill we go for the Aggies, and this could be it. Looking to right their wrong from the first series. 5 more seconds. The Aggies looking for Hydro, looking for the 3-1, and it's only a matter of time, but not yet. James Madison, they fight back.
Oh, they get one final break there, but is it going to be enough? 2 points separate New Mexico State University and the win. I think the only positive right now, if you're James Madison, is you hold on to the spawns on the right-hand side of the map, but it will not be enough. They keep flooding the hill, Colin, and New Mexico State University, they right that wrong. They walk away with a 250, 152 map here in map number 4, and they take the Hydro hardpoint in the series.
They wipe that slate from their first series of the day. They do exactly what Farmingdale State did to them. This time to James Madison. We look back at that Hydro. We knew this one was going to be hard for James Madison too, and it reflects when it comes down to not only the scoreline, the engagements, the outcome, the kills, the rotations. Everything was so strong for New Mexico through the hard points here. Hydro, a couple of mistakes back in their first series today, but a lot of things were fixed in those hard points, and they looked a lot better this time around, Jesse.
Yeah, absolutely. It did look a lot better, and James Madison even looked a lot better throughout as the longer the series went. So it kind of gives me some hope for them as they go up against Farmingdale in our next series for themselves. But, I mean, New Mexico State, wow. I mean, we got to talk about them here. A big turnaround from what we saw against Farmingdale in their first series of the day. They got kind of thrashed in the respawns there, and they were able to close it back. Actually, I wouldn't even say thrashed. It was really just the control. They got beat badly, and it was the same case here. Again, they get beat badly in the control, but you know what? They answer back with hardpoint victories that they did not have in that first series, and that's the big difference for New Mexico State University, because we know they're a strong search and destroy team, Colin, and that's by far their best mode. But they need to find a way to win their respawns and their hard points, because that control right now, I mean, 6 rounds today played, 6 rounds losses. That needs to be a major focus for this team if they make it to LAN. They need to work on that control.
I saw that first clip again, the lineup through the wall. I think that was... I can't really pinpoint exactly where it is, but it must be a lineup.
Could just be a wallbang spot too, right? Where you just kind of
exactly.
You're expecting the player to be on the other side of the wallbang. It's very possible.
Everybody just continues to learn and show us more things, Jesse, as the longer we go through this season. So, I mean, throughout this, I will say, you know, one thing is that James Madison, they got the tenacity to keep going, and they never feel like they're out of this game. Even when they were down by 2 points, Jesse, before losing this one, they still were fighting for those hills. So, you know that James Madison, they want it. These players, it's not just the parade show. Everybody's trying to level up on each side. T-Web started to heat up towards the end of this one. Like you said, Kelp alongside him. They started to have better series, but even still, it was New Mexico State. The Aggies one step ahead at every moment throughout this. And they bounced back after a loss in their first series today. So that's going to bring New Mexico State to a 1-1 round robin scoreline for their group. James Madison now facing elimination. And looking back on the series, a lot of things are going to have to change for James Madison if they want to take down Farmingdale State.
Yeah, I think the one thing that impressed me most with James Madison in this series is I know they had a really rough time at the start of the series, but the fact that they were able to bring Kelp back into this one, Kelp was really able to turn it up through the later portions of the series. That fills me with some hope, you know, for James Madison going up against Farmingdale State, because at least you got your players back. It feels like they found their mojo. They've at least gotten kind of hot inside of the series that we just did not see in that map 1, because map 1 and 2 very different than what we saw in maps 3 and 4, Colin.
I agree with you. I agree with you 100%, but even still, it is a tier up going to Farmingdale State, who were able to take a map off of Fisher in their winners final match back last week. So things only get harder from here on out for James Madison if they want to go to LAN here for College Con. We look back at this series, and one thing stays the same. New Mexico State still struggling in their controls, Jesse. That's 0-6 in control rounds today.
Yeah, 0-6. That's a big one, right, for James Madison for New Mexico State. And that was kind of the highlight that I wanted to bring up after is this team, they're done for the day, right? I mean, if they're now kind of got their hands, their fate is in James Madison's hands. If James Madison goes and wins, then it's going to be a little bit of a weird series, because then we'll have a few games back and forth, and it'll be a 1-1-1 tie, right? But in the group, so I'm not exactly sure how the tiebreakers and everything would work in that situation. But if you're New Mexico State, you're done for the day, and I think your main focus, if you do end up qualifying for LAN tomorrow, is going to be working on that control, because the control looks rough right now. 0-6, like you said, on the day. And we can take a look at our groups, Group A and Group B. Those are the two groups who are live right now going at it. You can see Farmingdale State College. They're leading the group right now at 1-0. New Mexico State, they've played both their games. That will leave us with a matchup between James Madison and Farmingdale State at the end there. If, Farmingdale can walk away with a win, then we'll have a clear-cut 1-2. If they lose, it'll be a three-way tie. And then on the other side, Mars Hill, same situation against Queens. They walk away with a win, we'll have our clear 1-2 between them and Davenport. And then Queens, if they can walk away with a win, it'll be a 1-1 tie there in Group B. So it'll be exciting stuff still to see here, Colin.
Yeah, exciting stuff for sure. I can't wait to see the Group C and Group D, because, one thing still to note
Those two
is
groups
that
are fire.
I mean, you have to remember that SIUE, St. Edward's, St. Clair, and Davenport all were at LAN last year for Vanguard. So, I mean, this is going to be fun. This is going to be such a fun day. But, until we get to see Group C and Group D, we get to enjoy right now Groups A and B. And things, in my opinion, have been shaping up exactly how I imagined it, but we still have one more matchup to go for both groups. We're going to head to a break, get things set up, folks. We'll see you soon for some more College COD Last Chance Qualifiers.